announcements. Please be advised that this and all meetings of the board are open to the public and media consistent with the Open Public Meetings Act, and that advance notice required therein has been provided. This is a meeting of the Board of Education of Somerset Hills at which formal action may be taken. The public will have an opportunity to be heard as shown on the agenda. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Baker.
Here.
Mr. G. Dupino.
Here.
Mr. McDonald.
Here.
Mrs. Santoro.
Here.
Ms. Sui.
Here.
Mrs. Tober.
Here.
Ms. Virtue.
Here.
Ms. Birch.
Here.
Mrs. Lees. Here. Okay. We have no correspondence for this evening. What I would like to do first, because we have a melting ice cream cake, is celebrate. I think you can make this. Tonight is Franny Wood's last board meeting as our superintendent, and she's. If anyone has extra, there's a box of tissues for her tears. We already did the speech thing a week ago, so we're not going to go crazy for speeches, but I just want to say that Franny's done a really great job for our students and staff here, as she's been here for the past 5 years, and we will miss her as she's basking in North Carolina sun. So, thank you very much for everything you've done.
You're welcome.
And let's have cake. Okay. This is from Somerset Hills.
Oh, thank you very much. All kidding aside, because I've been joking about the length of this meeting, and because it's really long, but I really couldn't ask for a better send-off, because last night we had the senior awards, and the last award, all awards are wonderful, I just want to say that, because you know how I feel, awards are great, winning is great, competition even better. But last night, the last award I gave out for after my 37th year in education was the award for a national merit finalist, which we all know how next to impossible that is to achieve, who is going on a full ride, right, to Caltech, and who is just an all-around great guy, David Alabera, who hugged me. So it doesn't get any better than that to go out giving that award. And I really don't think that it does. And the other thing that I just wanted to say was that I couldn't have asked for a better district to lead, and I'm truly honored that I was chosen here, because over the last 5 years, the things that all of you have achieved are just mind-boggling. They're so impressive and just so incredible. The staff is beyond unbelievable. And you know me, I don't really talk like this if I didn't mean it. And the dedication to their students, to their subject matter, to the parents, to the community, to everyone is unmatched in my career. And I just want to thank you on a personal note, because I've had so much fun working with you. And thank you for allowing me to get to know you and kid with you and joke with you and all those things. You are truly marvelous, and it was truly my honor to be your superintendent. Thank you. It's hard for me to not be.
Quite. Oh, but you need to look at it. That's what she needs to stand in front of. Go ahead. Take a What gave it away? Fish. Good idea. Where it's from? Oh, my favorite! all get, see your last board, we're all gonna get a picture.
So lucky am I.
You're lucky.
I said, how lucky am I?
Let's stand around that.
By the time we get to eat this thing, it's gonna melt.
You can take it from me.
Yeah, say, I'll come behind you,
Yeah.
I think. One of us will take. Thank you.
Get up front.
It's on the other side. Heather, you take that board and
So we have our DMS softball, girls softball, where is it? What up, you girls? So our middle school girls softball team won the Group 2 place. We're very proud of you, and Mrs. Ball's going to talk about it, but on a personal note, I just can't thank you enough for doing that, so that at my last meeting, I could recognize a sports team. So I really, truly appreciate that. Girls, that was excellent. You know, we talked about the high school, they have a lot of athletes for sports, but I want to say that in the last couple of years, the middle school has really given the high school a run for their money. So congratulations, a job well done, and Mrs. Ball is going to talk about the specifics of everything, but we're very proud of you and thank you for coming tonight, especially on injured reserve.
All right, but we're gonna give you ice cream.
Yes, it's gotta be worth it, yeah.
Hi, everyone, and I'm really happy to be here tonight to celebrate the accomplishments of the Burnsville Middle School softball team. Coach Shane Porter and Coach Jamie Height had a lot of excitement at the end of the season, starting with the girls winning the Group 2 League Championship game in strong fashion with a 10-2 victory over 8-2 victory over Florham Park. Coaches also celebrated the addition of baby boys to each of their families in the past week, so that is why I'm speaking on their behalf. From the start of the season, Coach Porter and Coach Height said that they were really excited about this group of girls and felt that they displayed a great combination of skills, camaraderie, and teamwork. They worked hard at practice and had a lot of fun too. As a spectator, it was evident that the girls had a great competitive spirit and, more importantly, were true team players in the true sense of the word. Their final record of 10-2, 10 wins, 2 losses wasn't too shabby either. The coaches asked me if I would share the following. Coach Height and I and the Burnsville Middle School are very proud of these academic athletes. Through all of the slap bunts, swings, signs, and steals, it was the smiles the girls brought to the diamond every day that earned them their Group 2 county championship. Congratulations to the players and, of course, the parents and grandparents and all of the other volunteer chauffeurs for their commitment and support. Thank you, Coach Porter and Coach Height. I don't know all of you individually by face, so I'm just going to read. I think I know everyone who's here. I have Elizabeth 80. Kathleen 80. I don't know. Who's that? Okay. What position were you?
Oh, first base.
All right.
Okay. Catherine 80.
I am shortstop.
All right.
Mariana DeBias.
She's not there.
Okay. Sydney Incarnato.
Right. Everywhere.
Julia Karpinski. Excellent. Tina Malik. Vanessa Mavra. Pastor. Alexandra Pagonis. Third base. Madeline Edna. Third base. Marissa Rometti. Second base. Caitlin Sebastian. Mia Scaraglia. Okay. And I have a few others, and the 8th graders are on their trip, so they're not back. So the 8th grade girls, Sarah Shirillo, Karina Ernst, Ashley Levine, I think that's everyone, and Mia Scaraglia, are all at the 8th grade trip, so they couldn't join us. But congratulations to all of you, great job.
Definitely be strengthened.
Okay. Good. Yep. Excellent.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, we'll give you guys. Give them that. I'm gonna need someone up front.
This is great.
Good job, girls. Great job, guys.
All right, all of it, we have to have a picture.
All right.
Good. All right, I'm back.
Yes.
Girls, come back. We have to
What?
take a picture.
Yeah,
Oh, all right.
for Sims. Yeah.
All right.
We're doing for Multimedia 1 our out of school project. So we're filming a board meeting for it. Yeah. What?
1, 2, 3. Champions.
I don't know if I can say that.
So the next, I know we're not supposed to have favorite awards, but it's my last meeting, so I think the best that I do. And this is it. It's the Scholar Athlete Awards. I just love presenting these. These are my absolute favorites. So tonight the timing is wonderful for me that I'm getting to present these tonight because I'm so honored and actually just so impressed with these students that we're going to talk about. Where's Cubby Schuler? Is he here?
He's not here yet.
Okay. Well, we'll talk there. What's that?
You know it if you were here.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask him how he got his name Cubby, but I'll read about him anyway because it warrants it. So Charles Cubby Schuler leaves VHS as one of the most well-rounded and decorated athletes ever. As a student who's eager to do his best in all he does, it's quite notable that Cubby has been a strong scholar, taking a host of rigorous classes, while also earning all-state, all-area honors in football. Some of the many accolades Cubby has earned are the Maxwell Super 100, the Mad Wino Award in football, as well as the NJ12 Scholar Athlete Award. And his hard work and dedication paid off. In his 4 years here, he's never missed an off-season lift at 6:30 a.m. 2 times a week for all 4 years. He was a starter in 3 varsity sports, an honor roll student, and he becomes the second football player in the last 2 years to attend an Ivy League school. He will be attending Yale University next year. Okay, Linda Simon. I know she's here. All right. Celebrating you. All right. up a little bit. Okay, so I thought that this first line, you could just put a period there. But, so Lily Simon serves as a true model of excellence in everything she does, ranging from her athleticism to her infallible academic performance. Lily has been a member of the BHS field hockey team for 4 years. In that time, she has quietly made her way to a leadership position, not only as our leading scorer, but as a role model as well. She is a hard worker, always one of the first in line for drills, and will happily stay after practice to perfect a move or skills, or to help others do the same. Her humility is something that earns her respect from coaches and teammates. She is a leader by example and is the epitome of hard work and drive. The spirit and passion she has for her team are qualities that are hard to coach into someone, but she is intrinsically motivated to make herself and those around her not only better players, but better people. While Lily has become a top scholar at Burnett High School, she will proudly be attending Dartmouth College. Alex, is Alex here? All right, now Alex, I'm not sure how to say your last name. Is it Cotler? Okay, so Alex is a 3-season athlete, and he's earned varsity letters in basketball and track and field for 3 years, and in cross country for 4 years. This year, he led the basketball team as captain and earned first team all-division honors. As a junior, he earned second team honors in basketball. He also earned first team all-division honors in cross country as a senior and second team honors as a junior. Alex manages to expertly balance his academics with a demanding athletic schedule and a rich volunteer calendar. He is a peer leader, an officer in the National Honor Society, and he volunteers at horseback riding facilities that offer assisted therapy and adaptive riding. All this while maintaining stellar grades in the most demanding of courses. Alex will attend Cornell University. How about Megan? Is Megan Miller here?
Her mom, she couldn't be here. She wanted to express her apologies because she's at her orientation for her summer job.
Oh.
But her sincerest thanks. And
Well, come on up. You
gratitude.
can stand
Okay.
Nice try. Oh, come on, this is all good stuff, right? You can tell. Right? It should be, yes. I was reading these. Very impressive. Megan earned varsity letters in fencing and tennis this year and also served as fencing captain. As such, she brought intensity and enthusiasm to our practices and matches, that's a quote, which kept her teammates sharp. She was always ready for a challenge match. One more drill, one more competition. She was the epitome of dedication. She truly took pride in her attendance at practices and matches and almost always arrived early, a coach's dream. Her coach will miss her. Her never-quit drive has motivated classmates, fellow club members, and teammates, and it is no wonder Megan has been selected to lead peers as captain of the fencing team, captain of the JV tennis team, president of the More Than Me Club, and vice president of the BHS Ski Club. She remains an academic powerhouse as well, earning top grades in the most rigorous schedule. She will attend Duke University. Hello. Luke is a 3-season athlete, and he's earned varsity letters in soccer and winter and spring track. He has been an all-division winner in all 4 years of spring track, where he excelled in multiple events on the county, conference, and state levels, and was the team's leading point scorer in 2018. Luke is a great teammate that leads by being a great example and by being a vocal leader to the team. Luke was a scholar athlete for 12 consecutive sports seasons. He achieves the highest of grades, is in an ever-demanding schedule, and his commitment to academics extends well beyond the classroom. Moody's Megamouth Challenge and the National French Exam, for which Luke won the school's only gold medal in his freshman year, are just two examples of this. He is also a talented musician who earned his place in the jazz ensemble as a 10th grade student. He will attend the University of Delaware in the fall. So now you know why I've been so proud to be the superintendent here. It's just absolutely unbelievable. So now, I think it's you, Jack.
Really?
I think.
I can go.
Wait
There's a couple others.
Oh, no. We're gonna put you behind. How can I forget that?
Good things come to those who wait.
Yeah. One can only hope. Okay, so let's have our teachers. Let's do the teachers. So I'm going to ask, let's do the teachers of the year first. So why don't we start with the elementary school? So Ms. Phelan, you can come up.
So Bedwell's Teacher of the Year is Lynn Jastorek, and I'm going to read a little bit about the magnificent Lynn Jastorek. Lynn has been a kindergarten educator who's been teaching at Bedwell since 1987. Mrs. Jastorek is a passionate educator who believes that kindergarten is a magical place to be, and her kindergarten certainly is. Her classroom community is filled with love, warmth, caring, and these attributes are the foundation of her work and who she is as a person. Lynn works tirelessly to build a community of children who are joyfully invested in exploring and growing as young learners. She is regarded by parents, colleagues, and administration as a master teacher. The impact that she leaves on everyone she comes in contact with is undeniable. Congratulations, our Bedwell Teacher of the Year.
We have a superintendent to be for the middle school. Congratulations. Val Chores, where are you?
I'm so happy to be here and talk about Val. She is somebody who anybody who works at the middle school has complete and total respect for. It's true. Val began her teaching career in New York City, where she worked for 3 years before attaining her current position as a literacy teacher at Burnsville Middle School. Starting in 2003, Ms. Chores has taught 5th and 6th grade literacy during her 14-year tenure. She is an exceptional educator whose passion for literacy is evident in everything she does. She holds her students to high expectations and works tirelessly to motivate and help them to meet those expectations. Whether discussing how an author develops a character, setting an individual goal for a student, or meeting with students to improve their writing, Ms. Chores finds ways to make learning meaningful. The students welcome new challenges in the classroom on a daily basis as they strive to become better readers and writers. Colleagues in other disciplines benefit from her collaborative spirit and willingness to look for ways to help all learners get the support they need. Ms. Chores has a passion for teaching literacy, incorporating creativity, humor, technology, and the belief that each child can become a better reader and writer with thoughtful lessons, encouragement, flexibility, and guidance. Whether or not a student loves to read or write, Ms. Chores reminds students that these skills are imperative for academic success in all disciplines and wants to motivate and challenge them to be the best readers and writers that they can be. Our quote is, "All children can learn. They must be met where they are as learners and not where I want them to be." That's why we celebrate Val Shores.
That's okay, I'm gonna link up.
She loves to say
And Scott, I'm.
Senora Bracero. Janet Bracero, our Spanish teacher, is a passionate, innovative, and dedicated teacher who works tirelessly for her students in the BJ's community. Senora Bracero, if you know her, has an infectious and vivacious personality that makes Spanish come alive in her classroom. She's constantly trying new things in her classroom. On a daily basis, she seamlessly integrates technology into her classes, ensures her students are actively engaging in 4 of the critical world language skills: listening, speaking, writing, and reading. Her lessons are intellectually challenging for her students, and she motivates them to apply themselves. Students sincerely enjoy her classes and her great sense of humor. Her students can't help but have a great time while learning a great deal. Jeanette also volunteers her time outside the classroom as well. She's been on the Attendance Appeals Committee, INRS Committee, Scholarship Awards Committee, and she also serves many hours interpreting for parents who don't speak English, helping them communicate their needs. And her quote really sums up how she makes a difference at Berners High School. She said, "In my opinion, every student has a door, and we just need to figure out the key to open it. Truly, it is my passion to work with students and help them progress in life. I feel very blessed to be a part of that process. Teaching another language to my students is like opening their eyes to a new world. My goal has always been to make that journey more exciting and rewarding, and she's absolutely met that goal." Congratulations.
And we have Cindy Fulton, who is, look for that. Cindy Fulton is lucky enough to be retiring also, so come on up. Yeah.
Okay, so remember, there's no crying in education.
Try to hold back those tears, Cindy.
Cindy Fulton has been a valued educator and asset to the Bedwell School community and to our Somerset Hills School District. Cindy's commitment to the growth of her students was evident in all of her daily interactions. From the warm, welcoming greetings she offered her students every morning to the final hugs and personal comments as they left for the day, Cindy's connection to the children she taught was visible for everyone to see. Her classroom always promoted a deep learning and positive student-teacher interactions. Her lighthearted nature was enjoyed by her students as they participated in song and dance and playing musical instruments. I will not imitate you here doing that, but she is quite innovative in terms of playing musical instruments. As a colleague, Cindy's sense of humor was a delight, and I will certainly miss laughing with Cindy over some story or silliness that she joyfully shared. We wish you relaxation and adventure in equal measures in your well-deserved retirement. Bedwell will miss you greatly.
See how she's reading? It's for Cindy. Whoa. You got it. So we have a couple of presentations tonight, but I would like to switch things up just a little bit because this is almost the time when we let everybody else go. But I just want Jack to do his report because I always let everybody go and then Jack stands up and nobody's there. So I thought that tonight, since it's his last report, he should have an audience.
Thank you. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Jack.
All right, so we're going to start off with some congratulations. First off, congratulations to the staff of the Crimson, our school newspaper, which was awarded first place critique from the American Scholastic Press Association. Out of over 200 high school and college publications, we were one of 46 to receive a score between 850 and 950 out of a possible 1,000. Congratulations to Ms. Hunkley and the staff. Bernard's Girls Lacrosse defeated Madison for the sectional title 15-8, so congratulations to them. And then lastly, congratulations to the winners at the Foreign Language Poetry Recitation at William Patterson University. We had 3 from Burns High School. Tanya Barazande Poor, she got an honorable mention in Native French. Stephen Duncan, who got a first place in Intermediate French, and then Melanie Jimenez, who got a first place in Intermediate Spanish. So congratulations to them. Something very cool that happened at our school today. Ms. Folletto, one of the math teachers, her and her students had a Skype call with Vince Cerf, who is the father of the internet. It was very interesting from what I heard. I saw a picture. I really wish I was there. Seems like it would have been cool, but definitely a great opportunity for everyone to get to talk with him. The intergenerational prom was a success. Thank you to everyone who attended. Everyone worked super hard on the event, and 105 students volunteered. So students got service, senior citizens got to have fun, the board got to watch. It was a great day. On the week of April 30th, the guidance department set up a Laugh More, Stress Less week at Bernard's High School. It helped students cope with stress with lots of fun activities during lunch, and Dr. Nigel got pied in the face. So thank you to Ms. Drew and Ms. Morris for organizing that. Last night, we had the senior award ceremony right in the pack over there. The class of 2018 is a very accomplished group of people, and it was a pleasure to hear all of everyone's accomplishments and everything that everyone does. It was crazy. I was in the front row and I was like, wow, in the presence of some very talented people. So congratulations to everyone who was awarded last night. Thank you to Chef for our first student grant, the Mountie Rock. The rock, how big did you say this, Dr. Nigel? This big?
I mean, it was very heavy. It was almost 2 tons, something like
2
that.
tons. Yeah, pretty big. So the rock's going to be painted to match football games themes, celebrate team wins, advertise school events, lots of different stuff. There was a tailgate after it was put in, and the first 50 students got a free shaved ice, so there were lots of people there. There was a STEM panel on May 22nd to celebrate STEM Career Awareness Day. This panel helped expose students to careers in STEM that they were not, they didn't know was available to them. So that was pretty cool. Final exams start tomorrow and will run until Tuesday. Thankfully, I only have to take 1, so that's nice. And tomorrow I will sleep in, which is really nice. On June 1st, the seniors had our prom, which was a really fun night. Thank you to Ms. Clark and the senior class officers for working so hard to pull that off. I don't know if any of them are here tonight. No? That's wrong. All right, that's it for me. Oh, let me just say, I wanted to say that you were my first grade teacher. I was your first. I was your first
Say something.
No, she doesn't.
last few years, I realized it is time for me to move on, because the parents are so gracious and they come up, they're so lovely, and they shake my hand, they say, "You haven't changed a bit." And I'm like, I don't know that we've met. And you were my kindergarten teacher, or you were my first grade teacher. So it's happened so many years, these last few years, it is time for me to go. So thank you very much.
So, yeah, Jack's not used to getting applause. Nobody's there.
I just see red.
Nobody's there. I just so we got used to talking to them. Okay, and we want you to.
Oh God. Okay.
So as you know, I think almost everybody knows that Jack's going to USC film school. But show everybody.
Oh, it has SHSD on one side and USC on the other. Thank you, everyone.
All right, so at this point, everybody can go home and study. Or if you don't want to stay for the presentation. So we'll take a little intermission for those people that are going to leave, and then Alan, you're going to be up when we come back. Okay, so just take a couple minutes if anybody's going. Thank you.
And I'm Trump Landu. I'm one of the 4th grade teachers at Bedwell Elementary, and we're here to talk to you about the 2018 Architecture Museum that was on May 23rd and 24th. We received funding from the Somerset Hills Education Foundation and also the Bedwell HSA. We also received funding, and all proceeds were donated from Edutecture, which was an architectural tour through New York City, which is run by Michael Catelli, who's the World Language and Social Studies Supervisor.
We also had materials donated from Lionel Trains and 3M Tape. And you'll see here the logo was designed by a 4th grade student, featuring buildings from the museum. And board members, you will see some 3D models at your table in front of you. You do not get to keep them, I'm sorry. They are the kids' project, so they do need to go back tomorrow. But please feel free to pass them around and take a closer look at them. Now, our project began the day after the Air and Space Museum. We started talking about what we were going to do. How could we top the Air and Space Museum? So we found a museum called Gulliver's Gate in New York City, Times Square, who has a museum with something that we wanted to replicate. So we gave them a call. We set up a professional development trip in the summer in August and formed a connection with the museum, and especially with their lead designer, Adrian Davies.
Here you can see some of the project goals that helped lead our work with the students and throughout the project. And Alan would tell you that the most important one is number 1, to create a memorable experience for the students as an interdisciplinary project.
Now, Gulliver's Gate came out to our school through our chef grant, and Adrian Davies came and spoke to the kids. We also worked with an educational specialist there to tailor the assembly and presentation to our students of all ages. Now, Adrian shared the design process of the museum, and he also highlighted learning from his mistakes, including a control tower for the airport they have there and how they changed it and modified it to make it work. He brought samples from the museum for students to touch, see, and feel, and he shared his own experience of how he became a model maker and how he got to where he was in his career. And I was proud because they came down to the tech lab, checked out some of the students' work, and they were quite impressed, which made us, all the kids, really proud.
So the students' research started in actually library class. So they worked with our librarian, Mrs. Crowley, and our enrichment teacher, Mrs. Leonard, and they were taught about the research process. They researched the background, the history, and other facts about the buildings and structures, which each student and student pair, they picked the structure that they worked on themselves. They collaborated with their teams to determine the most important information, and then they also designed project posters, as you can see, to be displayed with their projects. This year, as an interactive part of our museum, students recorded videos that you could scan as you were at the museum that told you about the design process and additional facts.
And with the 3D model design, students used the website tinkercad.com to build their models and created them using various geometrical shapes after studying pictures of the real buildings from several different angles. Here's some examples: Pantheon, Sydney Opera House. And you can see in the middle, that's the first two are from the website and the final product on the bottom right. Gave kids experience using Tinkercad and a 3D platform, which they do in the middle school and high school as well. Gave them experience working with various shapes, and it set students up to build larger models later on out of recyclable materials when they made their larger scale model. They used this as a reference point to help them build, and it helped them a lot.
So after the 3D design process, students moved on to structure design. So structure design began with recycled materials such as cardboard, masking tape, pool noodles, styrofoam, plastic containers, anything that Mr. Thurlow could take out of his neighbor's recycling can.
You'd be surprised what we use. And the kids covered the structures in masking tape for stability. You see them here measuring. We used over 8 miles of tape in the project. The kids kept the tally. It was always an exciting moment when we finished a roll of tape. And up front here on the round table, you see the Guggenheim Museum in white there. And you see in the bottom left corner what it looked like beforehand, and what kinds of materials they used, and the tape that went into it, and kind of what's underneath it.
So after the structure and masking tape, 8 miles of masking tape, students moved on to paper mache. They used paper mache so that they could create a smooth surface on the exterior of their projects. It's the messiest part of the project, but the kids love it. We don't, but the kids love it.
And then onto the painting. They put a layer of paint, several layers of paint, and start to add details using Sharpies, as you can see, drawing the windows or doing the logo. And Mr. Mack really helps bring the projects to life with the little small details and help them with the layout plans, the lighting, and the finer details in each of their projects. And this here is our design board, which I'm proudly hanging in my room now. It looks like a mess, but it highlighted the design process with sketches, project mistakes, measurements, calculations, drawings, everything that we use. You see the Eiffel Tower template that we used, the girls traced, and ended up using it to help them build their project.
So the day of the museum, all of our visitors were greeted with one of the brochures which you have in front of your tables board. So you'll see a map in there. We had 108 projects between 3rd graders and 4th grade students. The projects were all organized around the gym by region, and the final projects were on display, as you can see, St. Peter's Cathedral on the right, with the informational posters as well as the 3D models that the students printed. We also featured the design board that you saw. We also this year had a photo collage featuring Bedwell staff at all the various buildings all around. We also included a photo booth, a replica subway station, and we also had an iPad station for the interactive portion of our museum.
The true centerpiece of the project was New York City itself. We had over 100 buildings in that in the center of the gym, and included in that was the Brooklyn Bridge, which is right there on the table. Central Park, we had roadways, cars intersecting, lights in Times Square and on the Empire State Building. It was pretty exciting to see it all come together. We also had a parent loan us a New Jersey Transit train, and we had an operational train station running from New Jersey to Penn Station that the kids could operate.
Our museum featured 6 large structures which were all over 11 feet tall. You can see here that we have the Eiffel Tower, which was actually built in 4 different pieces. We had a leaning tower of Pisa that actually leaned. We also featured an Arc de Triomphe, which you could walk through on all 4 sides. We had the Burj Khalifa, which is actually the tallest structure in the world. Our Burj Khalifa was about 20 feet tall.
And to a 4th grader, that's enormous.
Even to a teacher, that's also enormous. We also had a Statue of Liberty that was 12 feet tall, and on the right-hand side, that's the Willis Tower from Chicago, which was about 14 feet tall.
It coincided with Culture Week, and we had regions represented from all over the world. Europe being the largest, with 30 projects. Featured in that was the London Tower Bridge, St. Peter's Cathedral. In Asia, we had the Great Wall of China and the Taj Mahal. The Middle East, we had Pyramids of Giza. North America, Yankee Stadium and MetLife Stadium. as well as the White House. South America, we had Machu Picchu, and Oceania, we had Sydney Opera House.
So this was only Wednesday night. Thursday, the day of the museum on May 24th, we had 4th grade students with their projects all day, presenting to parents as well as other Bedwell students.
Now, all the children of the school had an opportunity to walk through the museum with their related arts teachers.
And this year, inspired by Gulliver's Gate, we did a scavenger hunt throughout the museum, which the students really enjoyed, and I think also the parents really enjoyed as well. So you can see here we got to hide a little dinosaur head on the side of the Natural History Museum, a little Teddy Roosevelt on a horse, and we also had a Prince Harry and a Meghan Markle on top of the London Tower Bridge, which was added as a last-minute scavenger hunt item.
We will share this presentation with you. We have, in addition to this, we've got a time lapse we just completed, which shows everything from start to finish. Some 360 photos and a video walkthrough. The last couple weeks I've been calling some of the New York City buildings. The kids are writing letters and we're seeing if they want to see some of the buildings. We've gotten some calls back from the Woolworth building just today. We've got calls back from the M&M building in New York. And next week the buildings will be on display in the library if you want to check them out another time. This project wouldn't be possible without the help of Bedwell staff and community, the support of the district, and the hard work of our students and staff. So thank you very much.
All of Alan's projects are excellent. They just keep getting better and better. Not to put any pressure on you, but really, everything I've said, can't say enough good things about the project. So thank you very much. And now we have Colleen Butler, who's going to talk a little bit about our. Yeah. What can you make?
I have to say, when I went to over to Bedwell when they were displaying everything, I spent the entire time walking around either with my jaw on the floor or with just this great big smile, because the pictures don't really show you how extraordinary it was. It was amazing. I mean, I really just could not say enough wonderful things about it. You did an amazing job. All right, so let me see if I can. This side. Mine isn't as much fun. I'm sorry. Do I really need a mic?
Yes.
Yes.
Still.
Okay. Just get my notes out then.
Thanks for letting me give one last directive, though.
Hi, So for any of you who haven't met me already, my name is Colleen Butler. I'm the Director of Guidance here in the district. And tonight I really want to talk to you about student and staff well-being. Well-being and mental health has been in the news a lot recently, and not always for good reasons. And that has really caused a lot of districts to pause and take stock of what they are doing or what they want to do to help keep students and staff healthy. We are very fortunate here in Somerset Hills that we started this work years ago. So I feel really fortunate that we have done that. And tonight I really want to just give you a very brief glimpse of some of the new things we did this year. So this is not an exhaustive list of everything we've done, just a little bit of a brief highlight of the last year. So with regard to professional development, and I hit something, sorry. With regard to professional development, we've worked very hard this year on providing targeted professional development surrounding well-being for our staff and our students. The district feels that that's really important, and I think we did a really good job in not only doing that, but doing that using a lot of grant money. It's always good. See, I should have had an assistant.
I would be happy to assist you.
That's trouble. Janice can do this, I know this. A recent study conducted by researchers at Penn State concluded that teachers report very high levels of daily stress. And when teachers are highly stressed, students may show lower levels of both social adjustment and academic performance. Programs for workplace wellness, social emotional learning, and mindfulness are all proven to improve teacher well-being and student outcomes. So with this in mind, we've been addressing staff well-being. I really kind of want to, when we look at a glimpse of this year, I really want to go back to last June and start there. So last June, we had a professional learning day that was completely dedicated to staff and student well-being. I know there are a lot of participants here today, so you can give a shout out if you like, that's fine. It did not look like this.
Yeah.
This is not what our professional development looks like. It looks more like this. One of the options was that teachers could go work in the Bedwell Garden. We did everything that we could to help teachers find ways that they could de-stress. Community organizations also helped us out. I have to really talk about the community in which we all live and work. They have been extremely supportive of not only our students, but our teachers as well. Teachers had an array of choices to help them find ways to work on their well-being, as well as their students' well-being. The next couple of slides are just a few of the many, many choices that teachers had. Okay, I'll just go through those quickly. I know it's a little bit small, so I just want to point out a few. Some of the teachers went to a class on pet therapy, and it wasn't just being able to see pets. You did that one, it was good, right? But you could also learn about how you could have your own pet become a pet therapy dog. It was mostly dogs, I think. Another one that we had was on the next page, the mental health players came, and they spoke with me ahead of time and designed skits. I don't know if anyone went to that one. They designed skits around how to help teachers help themselves be mentally well. So that was another good one. And I mean, there were many, many choices. We also had we partnered with the YMCA, and they very generously offered 3 different classes that our teachers got to choose from that day. They could go to Zumba, there was a yoga class, and there was one called Pound. I don't know if anyone went to Pound, but it sounded really hard. Yep, a little bit of drumming. Did you do that one?
I did it, but I know about
Stressed me out.
I dragged her there and I stressed her out.
See, this is good. You're all here and you stayed for this, so lots of participation. Thank you. Okay, so mindful or mindful? Lots of times people will say, I'm hearing a lot about mindfulness. What does that mean? And let's think about what mindfulness and mindlessness might look like. Have you ever had the experience where you open a bag of chips or something, like, I'm not saying this, I ever did this, some of the audience might have done this. You open a bag of chips, and 10 minutes later, you have some crumbs on your fingers, a deep sense of regret, and there's no chips there. You don't remember having eaten them, you don't remember what they tasted like, you were not mindful when you were eating them. Think about, let's put that in the student's mind for a second. The student might be in a class, and they're just on autopilot. They're not really present, they're not in the moment, they're not tasting each chip, they're not listening to everything that's going on. So when you're practicing mindfulness, you really want to stay in the moment on purpose and really think about what's going on right now, stay present. And that's something that we want, I think we all want to do that, and it would really help our children if they can get better at that and practice that, because it will help them with their studies. So with that in mind, we were very fortunate to receive several grants from the Municipal Alliance, and I see some people in the audience that might have taken advantage of it. First, we had all of the counseling staff in the entire district went through the mindfulness-based stress reduction series of lessons. There's 8 full sessions, which concludes in a day of silence, which I have to tell you right now I was really bad at. And it was not easy to stay mindful and stay quiet for a whole day, but I kind of made it through. We also had groups of teachers from Dadwell, and I see a few here who might have been at that, and core groups from BMS, BHS, and several of our PE teachers who went to an abbreviated version of the class. Not to put anyone on the spot, but if you were there and you liked it, raise your hand. So I think it was really good. So the one that we had today were the BMS and the BHS teachers, and when I came in to check on them kind of towards the end and to say goodbye to the instructor, I heard them all like still talking, and they were talking about different ways that they could incorporate some of this before final exams to help kids feel less stress. So shout out for those teachers. Headspace, if some of you have heard about that, is an app that is very well reviewed, and it's a guided meditation app that we were fortunate enough to get a full year's subscription for all of the teachers in the district for no cost. And they were able to use that for their personal use or with students. I think some people use it as well. Okay, facilities. The district has really taken wellness into consideration when planning and enhancing facilities. This can be seen at BMS. BMS now has, and I have to confess, when I went to take this picture was the first time that I had actually been on the trails. But BMS has trails behind there now. I was really used to, the kids had no outdoor space, and that was something that the district felt really strongly about. So there's some outdoor space now. There's the kids, when I was over there the other day, were playing basketball. They were playing another ball thing where they hit a ball. I don't know what that's for. I was a little nervous though because I almost got hit a few times as I was taking the picture. The next one. Yeah. So it's really great to have some green space for our kids that we know need that outdoor space. They need to breathe the fresh air. They need to play. Our middle schoolers are still children, and the district was really committed to making sure that they had that time to be children during that day, that break. There's also some new access to outdoor spaces at BHS. If you came in through the glass hallway, the courtyard is now open to students during their senior privilege time. And in that picture I took after school, but if you see it during the day, if you had seen it, the first warm, sunny day, it looked a little bit like Coachella. But in a good way. I mean, there was music, it was fun, there was frivolity, all of those things. Other spaces that, just a little, there was other spaces that we really thought about student wellness is students need to stay hydrated and eat snacks if they want to stay well. So there are spaces in the new media center where they can eat something, which kids love to do. Some curriculum things that we did. We've had a 5th grade Tools for Wellness class for the last 2 years. We added a 7th grade option this year, which with more advanced ways for students to be thinking of some of those things that will keep them well. BHS held its first wellness fair on Valentine's Day this year to remind students you are lovable, take care of your health. It was a really great day. Students explored various information tables during their lunch periods. There were exhibitors from a lot of different community organizations. They had interactive activities for the kids. They shared tips, strategies. They had some giveaways for them. It was a lot of fun. Yoga was also available to students through Ride and Reflect in Town. And students also had the opportunity to decompress with pet therapy dogs. That's a picture of some of the dietitians from ShopRite who had an interactive game for them. And then, as Jack mentioned earlier, VHS also had their first Stress Less, Left More week that teachers and faculty worked on together to create this, and it was the week before AP exams, which can be a stressful time for kids and for teachers. This is Mr. Kaplan joining in the hula hoop fun. I have to tell you, Ms. Acock was amazing at hula hoop. So the students and staff were at the selfie station. Students with our equine therapy friends. I have to say this was probably my favorite thing.
Mine too.
Mine too.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. We had them do a primal scream for ice cream. You may not recognize the face because it has some pie on it, but our I have to say our male administrators at the high school, the female administrator did not volunteer for this, but the male administrators all volunteered to get a pie in the face. The kids were very sweet. They laughed a lot, but they were very kind when they were doing it. The horses were really a favorite of a lot of the students. And the horses, if you try to do a selfie with the horses, they kind of pose, which is great. BMS took a kindness challenge this year, and there were very targeted lessons in many of the classrooms. And I don't want to spend too much time on the kindness challenge because it was really a very big event in school, and I know Marcy Craver wants to come and talk about it at another board meeting. And I was only supposed to have 5 minutes, so I'm just doing it fast. Okay, the next two, this one and the next one, are pictures from the wellness classes where they did specific challenges, where they had to work collaboratively and use some of the skills that they had learned in the class. And Be Well Girls, which is a very popular program at Bedwell, is continuing to add different lessons for the girls there. And this is a picture of a Bedwell student learning some breathing techniques using a Hoberman sphere, which Mrs. Pike received a chef grant and got these for all of the classrooms. All my Bedwell people, shout out for that, right? She came into all of the classes and did lessons on breathing, and then students can then use those for self-regulation, which is a skill that they can use, long after they leave Bedwell. I use it at least once a day.
The students bring it to me because I was challenged that they're going to get more points on the spelling test than I, and so they'll bring it over to me. Breathe deeply, Mrs. Fulton.
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up because in the middle school, the counselors have gone in and done guided meditations in many of the English classes, and then the English teachers started doing that as well. And some of the students said, they were doing it at the beginning of the class, and they said, no, we want to do it like before a test because it helps us calm ourselves. So that's exactly what we want. What's next? The district is committed to continuing our work with students and staff to promote wellness. Wellness was addressed in the development of the strategic plan, and we will continue to enhance what we are already doing. And just go back to that one more time. I know it's a long night and you're not finished yet, there's a lot more, but my part's over. So I thought we could just kind of breathe in, like you're sniffing a flower. Breathe out like you're blowing a leaf. If your shoulders are still up here, make sure they're not touching your ears, just put them down. And thank you all for listening about how we're keeping our staff and students well.
So the reason we asked Colleen to give that overview of what has been done, I guess starting with the last day last year, and then this current year was because it's going to lead into our next presentation, which is going to be Chief Valentine, because the board is actively pursuing SLEOs as resource officers for the district for next year. But we wanted to make sure that the community knew that the board and the administration is very committed to wellness and well-being, not just putting police or retired police in our buildings because of what's going on around the country. That we feel that it's a multi-pronged approach, that you can't just have police officers or retired police officers, but you have to do what you can to enfranchise everyone and to build in good mental health as best that you can with our students. And also, part of why we recognize all our students and we appreciate and we applaud is all part of that, because students who feel enfranchised and feel part of something are healthy people, or healthier. And as you all know, when everything that we read and we see in the news, the people that, or the students that are committing these horrific crimes do not feel enfranchised. So it's a multi-pronged approach. It's, our teachers out there doing the best that they can to make people feel cared about, not just teaching them a subject matter, but to make them feel that they're important. You saw Jack embrace Cindy and say, "You were my kindergarten teacher," because she meant something to him. So the healthier that we can make our students feel, and as protected as we can make them feel, better for everyone. So that's going to lead into Chief Valentine's presentation.
All right, well, thank you. I'm pleased to be here tonight to talk a little bit about our proposal to improve our school security efforts that we do here at Somerset Hills School District. Over the last several weeks, a little bit more than a month, Mayor Suey is here with me tonight as well. We've had the opportunity to talk with members of the school district, Gretchen Dempsey. We've had some conversations with Dr. Wood and Jamie Lease as well. Mrs. Lease was involved to try to develop a program that would meet the needs of the school community, the police department, and the overall community as a whole, to give you the best possible school safety security plan that we can provide for you here in the borough of Burnsville. So I'm only going to go through this briefly. I know this has been a long night, but I will give you a brief overview of what we've proposed and the program that we've put together. And hopefully the Board of Education and the Borough of Burnsville will come to an agreement on some of the finer details of how this is going to work, and we'll be able to put this forward for the September school year. I think the best place to start really is with what we do right now. And one thing that you have to realize, and one of the things that I've appreciated for so long here in Burnsville, is the strong working relationship and the spirit of cooperation and the friendships that have developed over the years between members of the police department and the people who work in our schools. We have a phenomenal working relationship. There's a level of trust, there's competence, an understanding that I think both sides bring to the table, expertise and competence in their respective fields, and that formula works really, really well for us. We work very closely with the building principals. We work very closely with people in the Board of Education offices, and it's been a real blessing to the whole community as well that we're able to communicate like that, because you know what? It's not like that everywhere, and it's a model really of the way it should be, I believe. And we both have one common goal for everything that we do together that we try to meet on a daily basis. There's nothing more important than the safety and security of our students, employees, and visitors in our schools. When we come together to solve a problem, that is our goal. We want to create a safe environment for everybody who comes onto the school property, whether it be outside the property, inside the property, whether it be attending programs. Safety is our goal, security is our goal, and we work together to accomplish that goal. Our security program is based on 5 cornerstones of school safety and security. Now, this is developed for our program, and a lot of this is common to a lot of school security programs and security efforts that may be going on in different districts right now. But the five things that we really try to focus on are preparedness planning, collaboration, communication, cooperation. The third one is training and practice. The fourth one is alert, warning, and security technology, and the fifth one is target hardening. So by building on these 5 foundations or these cornerstones, we can put an effective program in place, and that's what this new program that we're proposing attempts to do. What are we doing right now? We're doing a lot right now. We didn't just wake up last year and determine, oh boy, we have a problem, we need to do something with school security. This is a program that's developed for years now. We have a lot of good practices in place. We do a lot to protect and secure our schools right now. And the program that we're proposing going forward will only build on the things that we have done and the accomplishments that we've made in the past. One of the things that we're extremely proud of is the Police Department Office of Emergency Management trains faculty and staff members on all 3 campuses to work with us as part of our first responders to any emergency that might happen on the school grounds. This is a community emergency response team. This is a national citizen corps program. There's a training curriculum where we train the selected staff and faculty members to be able to be the eyes and ears and the first of the police and fire, but more importantly, the first responders about what to do before we get there and how to coordinate with us once we do get there. And we train, every building has people who are trained to do this. We go over security and emergency response procedures with them. We come to the monthly security drills that are done on a monthly basis. We have police officers who come and attend the drills with this CERT team. And after every safety drill that we do, whether it be an evacuation drill, a shelter-in-place drill, an active shooter drill, a lockdown drill, whatever it might be, after we're done, we have a little conversation. We have a hot wash. Police and CERT people will get together, and we'll talk about what went well, what went wrong, what do we need to improve upon, and going forward. So this is something that's really quite unique to this area. I don't know if anybody else who's using a CERT team in their communities, but it's integrated well into our community with what we do, and we're very proud of that. And we appreciate the participation of the school district and the faculty and staff people who are involved in that, because I know it's a bit of a time commitment. The other thing that we're doing now is we provide specially trained police officers to work with the schools on security issues and emergency response planning. We have people who have obtained special training and can work with the school faculty, staff members, and administrators to better prepare our schools to respond to emergencies and secure our schools against any threats that might happen, and as well as respond to any natural hazards that may be present at any given time. So one of the things that we do is an annual safety and security review that's done with the officer and the building administrators. It's an assessment of where we are, what we need to do, and kind of a path set forward about where we will end up when everything's done until next year when we look at it again and do it all over again. We have annually, every year, every school prepares an emergency preparedness plan that's rather complex. I'm not going to get into all the details of it, but has all the information that we as first responders need to develop our response plans. It kind of is a guide and a guiding document for the school people what to do in emergencies under different circumstances and situations, and all the resources that we would need it would be in that plan. We have school-specific community first responder emergency response plans. That's something new that we're doing this year. We were developing an emergency response plan above and beyond what we do with the school emergency preparedness plan. This is how are we going to do this? So that the police, the fire, the first aiders know when something happens at Bernards High School, when something happens at the middle school, wherever it may be, we know exactly what we need to do before we get there. We know what resources are needed. We know what external organizations need to be contacted for assistance. We know where roads need to be closed. We know where barricades need to be put out. We know where fire hydrants exist. I know exactly how many officers or people are going to be needed for a traffic control plan. It's all pre-planned, and it's designed to kind of pick from a menu of options that we can quickly use to make decisions to be able to effectively respond to any emergency in our schools. And it's very, very important to the first responders that we're going to have a lot of assistance and help in any critical incident that might happen in the schools coming from outside communities. And how we organize that and how we manage that becomes critical to the success and the efficient outcome or efficient operations of any response that we do. So we're working with the school administrators this year using a template that was provided with us by the State Department of Homeland Security. And we're working through this template now, and we'll have a solid emergency response plan in place when we're done. We utilize the standard response protocols from the I Love You Guys Foundation for dealing with school emergencies, lockdowns, shelter in place, hold commands, things that, procedures that all the internal staff and faculty know, and the police officers are trained in as well, about how we're going to handle the students, what we're going to do. Do we leave the building? Do we stay in the building? Do we turn the lights on? Do we turn the lights off? That's all part of the standard response protocols that are used throughout the schools in Somerset County. And then we provide a resource for guidance, advice, and answering security-related questions on a day-to-day basis for faculty and staff who might have questions. A lot of times people will come up to our officers that are in the school and ask, what do I do if? Well, when do I turn the lights off? Or when do I open the shades? When do I put the shades down? Or, they don't understand what to do, when to do it, but sitting down, talking with somebody about this really helps to reinforce what happens in the classroom and helps the faculty and staff feel more confident about their abilities to be able to respond and do the right thing in these emergencies. As you're well familiar with, we have the DARE program that we do in the middle school, and we've been doing that for years, and that focuses on offering prevention and safety related programs in an effort to enhance personal safety, foster healthy social behaviors, and facilitate skills needed to resist abuse of drugs and alcohol. But one of the more important things that happens in the DARE program is the interaction that takes place on a daily basis between the officer and the students, the officer and the faculty. There's true relationships that are built. They're based on trust. They're based on mutual understanding of what concerns and problems may exist, as well as just having fun, so that when something does go bad or does go wrong, there's an open line of communication already in place between the student and the officer, as well as the faculty and staff. So we have a lot of time and effort dedicated to that. The other thing that we do is we work together to utilize available security technology to enhance safety and security in schools. If you're in the school, you know what some of those might be. I'm not going to go into detail here with what they are, but we are utilizing various technology that's available to us to increase the security and safety of the people in our schools. The other thing that we do is we regularly communicate with school officials. We provide random patrols in all of our schools, walkthroughs. The officers get out of the cars, they walk through the buildings, they talk to the students, they walk through the hallways, they look at the doors, they become familiar with the exits and the entrances and the stairwells, and they're visible in the schools as they're walking through the schools, meeting people, getting to know people. And we do that as often as we can. We have a lot of responsibility throughout the entire community. We would like to be here all day. Right now we can't, but this new program that we're proposing will allow us to hopefully have a full-time presence on the schools when the schools are occupied by students and staff. But that's one program that we do right now. What will we do? What's going to be different? We're doing all of these things and more that we're not talking about really in greater detail. But our proposal is that we're going to expand and grow all of these things that we're already doing by placing a Special Law Enforcement Officer 3 in or on 2 school campuses, one for the high school and one for the elementary school and the middle school, and to do that using resources and funding that are provided by the school district to provide you with the additional safety and security that would come with a police officer being on school campus all day long in both of our campus facilities. So the other thing, there's an advantage to that. The officers, it's not as simple as just putting a police officer in the school. As Dr. Wood said, there's a lot of other things that we're thinking about. Everything that we do is very thoughtful. We're not taking a police officer and say, go stand here at school, watch the door. These officers are going to be specially trained. They're going to be experienced. Many of them will probably have specific experience working in the schools. We haven't hired anybody yet, but we're looking for people who have experience as DARE officers and have served as school resource officers and have since retired and moved on. So they're in a familiar environment. But one of the things that we do is we train all of these officers in CPR, first aid, use of automatic defibrillators. We train them in bleeding control. They receive active shooter training. And they also will receive, within 1 year of being hired, if they don't have it already, they will receive special training that's required under the state legislation that creates the SLEO 3 program that will focus on working in the school environment, the same training that school resource officers who are doing this full-time have to take, or SLEO 3 officers, part-time SLEO 3 officers will do that as well. So there's added benefits. It's not really just for security, but it's for emergency response. And they'll be here if there is a medical emergency on campus, a bleeding emergency, an active computer, or some other emergency situation, especially trained to be able to handle those problems. The other thing that we'll do is we'll support the SLEO 3 officers and provide periodic random security patrols at the schools. We're not stopping our officers from coming in here and walking through the hallways. We want our police officers who are out in the street every day to be familiar with all of our schools, the faculty, staff, and the students in the schools. So we're going to continue to do that. We're not going to cease that practice altogether, but you'll have somebody here as well on both campuses all day long. But we're still going to have our patrol officers stop through and do random walkthroughs when time permits. The other thing that we're going to do is we're increasing our internal capacity. We recently completed a reorganization of the police department, and we've expanded our ability to be able to provide additional services that have not always gotten all of the attention that they need. And one of those areas of focus is the schools. So, well, we have a school liaison officer who works with our administrators and faculty and staff right now. That officer's responsibilities are going to increase. We're going to have officers on both campuses as SLEO 3s. Somebody has to supervise them. Somebody has to train them. Somebody has to coordinate their activities. Somebody has to support them and provide them with the resources that they need to be effective inside the schools. So the police department is going to take a full-time officer that we already have, who's working in a special unit right now, and one of his main primary focuses is going to be the schools, security, safety, the supervision of the SLEO 3s, and anything else that's school-related is going to fall under this person's responsibility. Working with the 2 SLEO 3s and the other officers and the resources that we have, we'll be able to provide you with, basically, it's a school resource officer. He'll be SRO trained and certified, and he'll be overseeing all of the operations that our SLEO 3s do inside the schools. The other thing that we'll do is we'll provide a marked police vehicle when they're available. We'll have an unlimited fleet of vehicles, but we think that on most days, these officers who are working in the schools will have a police vehicle available to them that they can bring to the schools that will be parked at the schools while they're inside the schools. And that sends a strong visual message that this is a safe and secure environment. There are police on site, there are police on scene, and hopefully it would act as a deterrent for anybody who might be thinking about coming onto the property to create problems. And it would also hopefully help to bolster people's sense of security and safety inside the schools, the fact that the police are present. So going forward, we developed kind of a mission statement for this proposal that we made, and it's simply to strengthen the existing school safety and security program by providing specially trained, armed, special law enforcement officer 3s on selected school campuses in the borough. So when this was done, we didn't know exactly where they were going to be deployed or how many, but we're getting closer to coming to that. But our goal is to put our police officers at the schools to provide this security service for the schools. So if we go back to those original foundations that we talked about, we envision that the SLEO 3's responsibility is going to encompass all of those other foundations that we talked about, the communication and coordination, the target hardening, the technology, training and practicing, preparing and planning. That officer is going to be the person representing the police department who's going to be responsible for working with the building principals and the other staff members from the school district on developing the security plans, developing the security procedures, educating the staff and faculty, serving as a resource on a daily basis, and taking those 5 foundational areas and making sure that they're all incorporated and integrated into what we do every single day inside the schools. Right now, we can only be here part-time, but now we're going to have somebody here part-time on a full-time basis, if that makes sense. So when we talk about part-time employees for SLEO 3s, so that you understand what we're talking about is it's somebody who's basically working, they're not working all year round for the police department. They're fully certified, fully trained law enforcement officers. They have full police powers while they're working, but they're only working on school days and when the schools are occupied. They don't come to work on Saturday and Sundays. They don't work overnight shifts. Their sole responsibility is working inside the school. So at the end of the year, they're not working as many hours as our full-time officers, so therefore we call it part-time SLEO 3s. But as far as the school faculty and the school environment is concerned, they're here full-time. They're your officers, your resource, and they'll be working with you every day. So as we go forward and we try to implement some of these things, once the Borough Council and the school board complete their negotiations and come to an agreement, which I'm very optimistic will happen at some point in the very near future, we will be able to move forward and start to implement this program. One of the things that has to be done is a memorandum of agreement has to be signed, and we will begin to work on work schedules and specific officer responsibilities. We'll be communicating with the building principals, the superintendent. We'll be developing procedures for internal communications. We have to have some procedural directives that are put forth to our officers as to how they're going to do their job, and we have to determine the hiring and officer selection procedures. It's critical. This is a partnership. We're not coming in and doing this for you. We're coming in here and doing this with you. It's a service that we're providing in partnership with you. That it will only work if we do this together. What is a SLEO 3? Let me mention, what's a SLEO 1? What's a SLEO 2? What's a SLEO 3? What's a regular police officer? It's basically a certification that police officers in New Jersey have. They can be certified to different levels of police training, which equates to the responsibilities and their statutory powers that they have in the state of New Jersey. So, whereas we have full-time police officers, BCPOs, basic course for police officers, and regular police officers, and then you have a SLEO 1 who is an officer who is not armed, but he can enforce local ordinances, he can do parking ordinances, these might be some of the people that you see on the boardwalk in some of the resort towns and short communities. They're walking around without the guns. And they'll have a white patch on their arm that says SLEO 1. Right? So he's a little different than a regular officer. And you have another one who's a SLEO 2, who is a fully empowered police officer who can work in the community. And while he's on duty, he has full police powers. It's basically a force multiplier. It's our reserve corps, but their training is very similar to that of regular police officers. It's only a couple of days less in total. When they're all done, when it's all said and done, they have almost the same equivalent training of our regular police officers. And the SLEO 3 is a specially trained police officer who is a retired police officer who has worked as a law enforcement officer in New Jersey within the last 5 years and now comes back to work in the schools. And his sole purpose is to provide services to the schools and provide school security. He only has police authority while he's working, and he can only work in the schools. He cannot be taken out of the schools. He can't be called away to do something else. He can only work in the schools when the schools are occupied by students. And that's it. So they can work, in the evening, if there's football games, basketball games, if there's state tournaments or matches where you need extra security. We're going to work all those details out going forward, but they're available to do that. So that's how they're different, but they all have regular police powers. They'll all be fully trained and experienced police officers. We're not bringing in Boy Scouts to police your school here. These are some of the minimum requirements for SLEO 3. They're in your handout. I'm not going to go over them. I kind of just wrap them up a little bit. And they will be within 1 year. If they haven't already been trained as a school resource officer, they will be trained as a school resource officer. Within 1 year, that's by state law. We have to facilitate that to happen. A couple quick facts. They have full police powers. They are armed and permitted to carry a firearm, provided they complete the proper training and the proper qualifications that they will do with the police department. They need to be employed by a police officer or by a police agency. A police officer cannot be employed by any other entity other than a law enforcement agency. They can only be hired in a part-time capacity. They can only be employed to assist local law enforcement with security duties. They're not intended to supplant a school resource officer or a police officer otherwise stationed at the school. They're prohibited from receiving any pension or health care benefits through the position. They're part-time employees. They don't collect the pension, they don't collect health care benefits. And that's one of the advantages of using a SLEO 3 as opposed to a full-time school resource officer or a full-time police officer in the schools to do security. It's less expensive. So it provides us with an additional option to be able to provide those services at less cost. They work for the local police department, and it's somebody who's had experience doing that kind of work before is what we're looking for. They'll be familiar with the schools that they serve in the community. They'll be based in our community. They'll know the staff, the faculty, the buildings, the layouts, and it's up to us who we hire, and we're going to make our selections working with the superintendent, with the building principals as to the type of person that they would like to see in their schools and the type of person that they think is the right fit for their building in their school. And we're going to take that very seriously, and they're going to have as an equal say as to who gets hired as we do in this process. And I know they will be able to agree on somebody at the end of the day. A couple of links at the end if you want some information. There's actually, let's see here. There's a video if it'll play. Very brief explanation. Okay, no problem. But if you can follow these links, there's a video that will explain the state legislation that was passed in 2017 and the role that SLEO 3s will play in the school. So with that, I'll open it up to some questions for the board members if you have any questions about this program.
Actually, no questions. I just personally want to thank you for all the work that you've done in getting us to this point, all the work that you've done over the years in providing our school system, our children with the safety and guidance that you've done, and just can't say enough about you and how the confidence that I have in you and the police force and everyone doing the right thing for our school system. So thank you for everything.
Well, thank you. But the key here is, again, is working together in partnership with everybody. And I can say the same thing about the people that I've worked with over the years at the school district. And I think that that's what's going to make this work. I really do. It may not work in every community. I mean, I know some other towns that are taking a different approach to this, and they're basically just hiring police officers to throw them in schools. Say, we just need a police officer with a gun at our school, and that's it. But our officers are going to be more. They're going to primarily be there for security, but we want to develop this this safe and secure environment, and develop on the wellness aspect of it, as Dr. Wood said earlier. That's a big key component of what we do now with our officers who are in the schools, and it's going to be a very big piece of what they do going forward with these officers that are put into the schools. We want everybody to be healthy, we want everybody to be happy, we want to create a good learning environment, but more importantly, a safe and secure learning environment.
So you mentioned that they have to have worked as a police officer before they become a SLEO with 3 years. They can't.
There's two. I'd have to go back and look at it. It's within 3 years and 5 years, depending on the date. I believe that they're hired. Okay. So we're getting to the threshold now where they would have to have worked as an active police officer and been certified within the last 3 years. When they first did this, they opened it up for a 5-year period, from what I understand, and now I think it's going to be, there's a sunset on it. It'll be within the last 3 years they will have had to work as a full-time police officer.
So Kevin, I presume there would be some retired police officers that would be interested in doing this?
There's pension restrictions that make it very difficult for us to do that. Even though this legislation is good and it enables us to put experienced police officers in the schools, it doesn't really work to facilitate putting our own police officers back in the schools. It kind of seems not to make a lot of sense.
Well, not necessarily yours, but like anybody from any police department.
Yes.
And if that's the case, then what is the time period from which they retire to when they can be hired?
I believe it's a 30-day separation if they're coming from another agency. It's a 6-month separation if they would be coming back to Bernardsville, but we're not allowed to make any promises for future employment. So it's a 30-day separation from their current employment before they can take another state or government job in the state of New Jersey.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Well, we look forward to hammering the rest of this out. There's a lot of work going forward. We've got a lot to do before September, and our respective boards, yourself. Yes.
We'd like to put these presentations on our website. Are we permitted at some point to put this on the
I would,
website?
yes. This slide, you can put this on your website if you would like. We're going to put it on, I'm going to have our IT person put it on our website as well, on the police department website. The only thing I ask is that you have your IT people do it so it can't be manipulated. That it's go on as, look only slides. I'm not a PowerPoint expert. When I did this, I had a little trouble. I'm working with an older version of PowerPoint that no matter how I try to lock this thing up, it seems to be able to be edited. So I'm sure if it's posted on as like a photo or an image or something like that, we won't have that
Mustache
problem.
on you or something?
No, I'm not worried about me personally. It's not anything to really do embarrass me anymore than I've already done myself in my life. But, you know, I don't want them to take the extra context of what we're trying to do here. So, yeah, you can put that on your website. And I do have some handouts in the back, if anybody would like to take a handout of the slide program that we've done, but I hope, hopefully you have a little bit better understanding of what we're trying to accomplish. All right, thank you.
Okay, so that concludes the superintendent report. The last.
Okay, are there any public questions and comments on items that we've discussed so far? Please state your name.
I'm Nancy Zarowski, New York, New York. Anyway, I won't, I forgot how long this meetings are. Boy. Let's get the end of the year, but anyway, it's a pleasure to be here. Anyway, I was at your first board meeting at the Somerset School District Training Board, and I thought I'd come to your last. I just wanted to say I want to wish you well on your retirement, as I'm sure everybody did here. And the thing about it is that when we hired you, Bob will well remember, we wanted to hire an educational leader, and that is what you did here. You changed the culture of this district. There were sometimes we focused on things that weren't about education, and that was your marching orders, and you fulfilled that. And it sounds like everyone is just be so self-explanatory, but really you had total respect for the students, as was evidenced by your recognitions. I was laughing in the back because you love these recognitions so much. We never did that before you got here. I mean, you know, this is a school district, and you know, you really took it upon itself to recognize. And it wasn't just sports. I mean, everyone thought, oh, we're hiring a former athlete. It's going to be all about sports. It was really not about sports. Even though you won 2 state titles here, you know, while you were here during your tenure, multiple sectional titles. But it was really about the kids. It was about the yearbook, and it was about, you know, national merit finalists, and all these things that really the kids, you know, you see the kids all happy. None of them want to come up here, but they come up here and they were all beaming, and that was all about you. So it was really about the kids, and that was your whole lifelong career that you've done. It's 37 years that you've dedicated to. The other thing I would say too is that there was no bigger, there was no bigger supporter to the staff than you, and I'm not even sure they always realize that. You had their back. And, you know, look at you, whole things, you know, God forbid, remember lesson plans? I mean, we talked about that for like the first day that you got here. It was like a torturous kind of thing. But you held people accountable and you made sure that they did their job, but you also supported them. And you supported them in professional development and making sure programs were, you know, we had the right kind of programs for them. And, you know, you walked into the buildings, you were just really always there for them. And, you know, you like to joke around and you like to see what was going on. And, you know, Gretchen's going to do a great job, and she's been part of the staff, and it's a beautiful transition. I congratulate the board for hiring such a great new superintendent. But you really had their back, and just saying that from the inside out. And that was, not that anyone was against them, but you really did watch out for them. So I congratulate you on that as well. And last but not least, I just wanted to say to you that your mother would be very proud of you, Francis. You did a great job. And I know she's always in the back of your mind. She's always like, what would my mother say? I can't do this because my mother would have said something. She would have been very proud of you. And really, you did everything. I mean, honestly, when we hired you, as far as, you know, I haven't been here the past year, but I still hear a few things here and there, you know, from people. And look online at the Vertical News. But you really fulfilled everything that you were supposed to do, and you did a good job. So now you can go and play golf and be Grand Poobah of your Elks Club. So, anyway,
Thank you. Thank you, Nancy. I appreciate it. Nancy is my greatest supporter ever. And everybody always thought we always agreed. And sadly, we didn't.
And you even turned my daughter into a Phillies fan, God forbid.
Yes,
I mean,
Nancy, through the toughest of times, when I had little support, there were things that we were just starting and people were fighting that thankfully have come full circle now. You were the one that supported it and supported me against, you know, or through those times when people weren't so sure that things were going to work out, or because we were changing how we thought about things here. And that wasn't due to me, but we were changing how we looked at ourselves as a school and what was important. And obviously education is what we're about. And I remember when I interviewed with you, that was what I said, that there's a million things that occur in schools. And everybody always wants you to take your eye off the ball. And the ball is education. And I love sports. I love sports more than anything in the world. But you know what? I'm an educator. So what's important is educating young people and giving them an invitation to learning and making them feel that they're special and that they can learn and they can achieve. And, you know, we did that. And that's why I love this staff, because all we had to do was tweak a couple things and give them the opportunity to do that for our young people. That was my job. That was the easy part. And then they just took it and ran with it. But, you know, when you first start to do things, it's not easy, because especially educators, we don't always like change. So, you know, it was hard, and we had people railing up against us, and, you know, it was like, oh my God, maybe we shouldn't have hired her, maybe we shouldn't have done that. And because, you know, it was the one thing I truly believe is that, no, I'm sorry, I'm not a politician. I know it's hard to believe, you know, I'm not, that's just not me. And, you know, I'm about education, and that's where it is. And you always supported that and supported me through it. And thankfully, you know, we did a lot of really good things, all of us together. So thank you.
All right, any other comments? Okay, seeing none, we will go for the approval of minutes. Can I have a motion to do that?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Yes.
Second.
Okay. Bob, finance. Wait. Oops.
Roll
Any
call.
comments or changes or anything? Comments or changes on the minutes, and then I got to do roll call. No, I don't know, any comments or changes on the minutes? Okay. Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. DeGiacchino?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mrs. Santoro?
Yes.
Ms. Dewey?
Yes.
Mrs. Tober? Yes. Ms. Roach?
Yes.
Ms. Birch?
Yes.
Mrs. Lee? Yes. Okay, Bob?
The Finance Committee met yesterday afternoon at 4 o'clock. We talked about several things that are going to be on the agenda tonight. First item was getting a third-party administrator to help us with our 403Bs, 457 plans. This is it's not costing the school district anything, it's just to manage these plans effectively. There's a lot of federal regulations on these, so it's going to be a vendor that's going to interface with all the investment companies that we use for the 403, 457 plans. The second item, we talked about the source for teachers that we use in paras and subs occasionally. We are, Heather was successful in negotiating a lower fee for that. That's good. We talked about moving money next year. We have to prove it tonight if we want to move money into the capital reserve and the maintenance reserve based on how we end the year. So the exact amount we'll vote on next year, but this is the maximum. We talked about getting a company to help us with technology bidding and getting better pricing. So that's a vendor that we use at no cost. And we talked about the operating manuals for operating procedures and purchasing manuals, and we're approving those tonight. And we talked about the SLEOs that we just had the presentation on. So I want to draw your attention. We have an addendum. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 resolutions on the addendum, and the SLEO recommendation resolution is there. That's to authorize a spend of $115,000 at the moment. If numbers change slightly during the year, we can always address that. But that's our best target, working with the chief. And obviously we have to hire people, and the Borough Council has to vote on it too. So once they vote on it, we'll do a memorandum of agreement. I want to thank Chef for number 19. There's almost $35,000 from Chef. And you can see what it's used for. It's used for suicide prevention, digital citizenship, and $30,000 for Project Lead the Way, which is important because that's part of the strategic plan. That's $30,000 right there. So I'm pleased that Chef gave us that money right now. They had a great fundraiser this year, and I think a lot of people are enthused about that. So I'd like to move motions 1 through 22. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions on anything? All right, seeing none.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. DeGiorgino?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mrs. Santoro?
Yes.
Ms. Suey? Yes. Mrs. Tober?
Yes.
Ms. Virtue?
Yes.
Ms. Birch?
Yes.
Mrs. Lee?
Yes. Okay, curriculum.
Okay, curriculum, the curriculum committee met yesterday on June 12th. Scott and I will propose that we create what is known as a grading floor. This change would mean no student. Okay. That's better, right? Okay, this change would mean that no student would earn a grade lower than 50% in a marking period. For example, if a student fails a marking period with a grade lower than 50%, let's say for argument purposes 22%, the teacher would manually override the percentage to 50. This way, students would be able to recover from failure if they had a bad marking period. Presently, there is no incentive to even try to improve when it would be nearly impossible to recover with a passing grade. There will be no grading floor in the fourth marking period to prevent students, particularly seniors, from completely shutting down. The committee agreed with this proposal. Colleen Butler talked to us about the different groups that approach her and staff with ideas on how to create awareness for things like underage drinking. One example is Town Hall on underage drinking. This program educates communities about underage drinking and mobilizes communities around its prevention. Our district is open and appreciative of receiving information about proposed programs that fit the district's mission. Then Jen Schaffler explained the We're Not Buying It curriculum. This is a free curriculum which consists of 5 very brief lessons and 1 review lesson. Several teachers will be trained and will incorporate the lessons into the curriculum. Topics are alcohol, marijuana, prescription drugs, and bullying. There is no cost to the district. We also discussed how much and what kind of PD is provided for the health and PE physical education staff. We learned that the teacher will attend a conference on quality physical education and the future of health/PE instruction this summer, and that a teacher was involved in mindfulness. By the way, you saw in Colleen Butler's presentation all the various things that we're doing. This was more of an effort to see how it could be incorporated in our physical education and health classes, so it would be a little further. Another teacher has written model curriculum for physical education. We also learned that several PE teachers, which you saw, attended and regular teachers in the high school and elementary school participated in mindfulness PD last week. The feedback was extremely positive. We discussed the possibility of providing choice to physical education students. We also reviewed the summer reading program for all 3 schools. It consists of using reading, writing, and listening skills. It was amazing. It's really amazing what the kids will be doing over the summer. Lastly, we reviewed a pre-approved field trip, and that was it. I would like to move items 1 through 4 on our agenda, and I don't believe there's anything on the addendum. Are there any questions?
Second.
Questions?
Can I just ask, Janice, what is the We're Not Buying It program? Can you just talk, the We're Not Buying It program?
It's a program that, do you want me to explain or do you want to explain?
When you start and then I'll jump in.
It was a program that was brought to us that it's several lessons surrounding the things that I mentioned, alcohol, marijuana, prescription drugs, and bullying. So this kind of curriculum, which are very brief lessons, would fit into our program. We're teaching and addressing these issues. So this program was brought to us for free. They're very brief, simple lessons that give just a quick message to the students. Did you want to?
It was brought to us through the county's municipal alliance, and it's a consortium. They were looking for 12 to 13 schools to be involved in this, and they're providing free training and free resources. And it was a research-based program, evidence-based program that was promoted. So the 3 teachers will go this summer from the middle school to learn about these couple of lessons, and then we'll implement them into digital citizenship, which is a new course, the bullying and the media piece to this, and then the health pieces are more related to the 7th grade health program, and those few lessons will be put into that.
So if the kids don't take the digital citizenship class, will they get those lessons?
The digital citizenship is in 6th grade, and it's not going to be all kids, right? That have.
No, not all kids. It's choice-based.
Yeah.
That's one of the electives?
Right, it's one of the electives. I mean, it would only be 2 lessons. It's that they would not have experience with. One of them is about peer influence, and the other one is about cyberbullying. But there are other opportunities to talk about that in the health program and also in our wellness program.
Because it sounds like it could be beneficial for all the students to get the lessons if once the teachers are trained and the program's working.
And we'll take a look at it. We discussed making sure once the teachers are trained and they come back with the resources to really take a look at what those resources are and see if, we know how far we go with using all the different pieces.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
I have a question as well. Going back to your grading floor, was there a significant demand for this recently? And I guess given the existing grading breakdown, I guess it's different for every teacher, but isn't there a allotted amount where the student can really apply themselves and make a meaningful effort through homework and other ways to earn points?
Yeah, the thing is that when you receive a 0, an F could be anything from 50% and below. So if the kids are getting a 0, it's really hard to bring your grade up from 0. And then the children can't, there's no incentive, why bother trying, It's just like, what's the point? And so by doing this, it gives the kids an opportunity to bring their grade up by trying, other than just giving up. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking like, why are we upping the numbers? But it really is to make an incentive, because look, somebody could have a bad marking period from home problems or something could come up, and then the kids just spiral down. And so this is a way to keep them interested and keep trying.
And is there a way to look at grading, when you look at the grade on a spectrum, and you've got 50 to 0 is failing. And anything above a 50 is an actual grade.
Right.
So that's a half of sort of individually 50 points of failing.
Well, I'm just thinking rather than the syllabus side of it. So the syllabus that I'm assuming goes through approval process, what's the distribution on how those points are collected? Is it 50% just for pure test, or is it like 50 for, let's say 25 for participation, 25 for homework?
It's the
Well,
overall.
that's always
right?
going to be individual, but the point is the tests are always going to count more than homework. And when you make it impossible by giving them a 0, then, like Janice said, there's really no point, because no matter whatever, each teacher is responsible for their own individual grade allocation, which is approved, but, because you're a student, that a test or a quiz is always going to be more than your homework. So it was just becoming, failure's failure. You have to really beat somebody into the ground with a 0 is really how we were looking at it. Or do you want to give them a chance?
You could fail a test
to-
at 40%.
Yes.
You could fail a test at 20 or 10%.
Exactly.
Or
Yeah,
zero,
you
so
can
we're
still
giving
fail.
these kids.
Or you
a
could
zero.
actually make a let's say you made a 30 for the marking period.
Right.
And you did really well the next marking period, you made a 75.
Right.
30, but you're still in the F area, right? Then if you make another 75, you're still, but that 30 is going to pull you, you can't come back. And that's what's happening. The kids who do really well, even though they did bad at first time, they don't come back from it. So that's, it's just discouraging. And we're working on the whole mindfulness and making sure our
It's more
kids.
humanistic, because it still catches you. You still have to do your work, and I like the part that there's no ground floor in the 4th marking period. So you can't get college acceptance and then slide.
And
So
were
you
we
have to
seeing
do
an
the
increase
work.
in demand for that too, though?
What's that?
I'm just curious too, were we seeing an increase in demand to
Other schools are doing
Well,
this.
Yeah,
but
that's
really, it's come from us. We've been after it for a while, because we just feel that it's the right thing to do, that it's in the best interest of students, because you're still, challenging them, you're still giving them standards, but when they make mistakes because they're kids, you're letting them come back from it. So, and I think that that's important, because that's, what a great life lesson that is, that you can really screw up, but you gotta dig yourself out, and you can dig yourself out. But if we, at this level, say, no, you can't, once you fail, you're done, then that's not good. So I think that's kind of where it was all coming from.
And like she said, there's other schools are doing it too.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things we see.
I was curious of the root of it, so.
Yeah. But it started with us. It didn't
Yeah.
start because other schools were. Scott's been after it for a while, and he's been right, but it just picked up momentum.
And he's done enormous research on
Yeah,
this
he
too.
has.
He really has looked at this carefully.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
When will this take effect?
We're thinking for next year, right? So 2018-19 year.
But it has to put policy, I think, first.
So this is, we're not approving this
No,
tonight.
This is just a report
It'll
from
be a
her.
policy,
Okay.
right, direction will bring it forward. Yeah.
No. Go ahead. We got the motion, we got the second, I just need to do the vote.
Yep.
Mr. Baker,
Yes.
Mr. DiGiacomo,
Yes.
Mr. McDonald,
Yes.
Mrs. Santoro,
Yes.
Ms. Sui,
Yes.
Mrs. Tober,
Yes.
Ms. Virtue,
Yes.
Ms. Birch,
Yes.
Mrs. Lees.
Yes. Okay, facilities.
Facilities met this evening. We had an abbreviated meeting, started at 5, finished up near 5:30. We talked about, we had a review of transportation and some updates. Heather is looking into pretty much everything. I'm not going to get into all the individual things, but everything surrounding transportation, making it more effective, safer. Talking about the possibility of more buses, but you get to that point where too many buses that we own, it creates bigger problems, so we're trying to find that happy medium, so to speak. She's been speaking with people at Hunter Education Services Commission and is continuing to do a lot of work on trying to streamline and make what we have more effective. I will turn this portion over just so she can expand a little bit more as to what she's doing and where we're looking to go with transportation.
Yeah, so in light of all of the various issues that have come even to this board meeting a few months ago and the tragic bus accident that was a few weeks ago, and just needing to look at transportation processes in general, reviewing all the contracts, and I'm reaching out to different resources and seeing how other districts are handling things. I'm reviewing our own internal contracts, the ones that we contract out, and just looking for some ways to make improvements all the way around. So this is not going to be an instant fix, but it's something that I am diving into and taking very seriously and spending a lot of time on this summer.
Our next agenda item was security camera updates. We're interviewing different vendors now. We still don't have a plan as to exactly what we're doing, but there's not any immediate rush for that. It's not like something we have to get implemented by September. So we do want to take our time, make sure we do the right things, get the everything covered that we can get covered in terms of affordability and full of our buildings. The new systems have a lot of capabilities, and we're excited about what we can do, and costs have come down a bit, so we're pretty confident we can get what we need to get done. CUSAC will be coming in, I believe it's next year. We talked about the standard operating procedures manual. Heather is putting that into place. The county is going to be coming to our facilities to do a walkthrough sometime early next year. The last thing on the agenda was the lighting in front of the Olcott building. Most of the committee seem to be happy with what we have. The last item on the agenda was actually not on the agenda, but something that has been carried over. The Stop It app, or an app, a reporting app that we have been talking about. It's kind of been on hold. It's not that we've deep sixed it or anything. We're still waiting for the community crisis to have their meeting. It's going to be sometime next week, I think, Kathy, is that?
The week after.
Yeah, I think it's the week after.
Yeah.
I'm going to be gone, so I'm not going to be able to be at that meeting, but we've kind of been waiting for that report to see. There's one of two apps, I think, that they kind of narrowed their recommendations down to, and they're going to look to see and compare the two apps that they feel are worthy of consideration at this point. So once we get a report back from Community in Crisis, we'll pick that up and continue to look into that. Nothing's definite on that yet, but hopefully Kathy can fill us all in on that after she gets the information on that. Other than that, that's it for the report. I'd like to make a motion that we approve action items numbers 1 through 3.
Second.
Discussion.
I don't know if this is for you or for Heather, but I noticed we're approving the bus routes, and things related to the busing. Just a question for clarification. I know there's lake buses for Peapack, Gladstone, and I think Far Hills. Is there one for Bernardsville?
Yeah, from the middle school and the high school, yes.
Oh, Bernardsville,
yes.
Because they're part of all the towns that,
Yes.
just not at the elementary school, obviously.
Not
middle
right.
school and high school. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I've got a quick question and a comment. The video cameras, Greg, has Chief Valentine or the police department done any sort of an audit of our sort of electronic security within the campuses? And if not, is it are we incorporating them in sort of an analysis of the video system coverage, et cetera?
I'd like to believe we are. I'll defer to Franny on that. Have we spoken with Kevin has he been involved in any of this, or has this just been internal at this point that we're going to use the cameras?
Well, it's in statute that, part of the memorandum of agreement is that they have a live feed for ours, but we ran into a big problem in that the system that we have currently is not the system that we want going forward, correct?
It might not be.
Might
I don't know that we have
Okay.
determined that.
All right, but, okay, so it might not be what we want in the future because of a lot of different things. That it's somewhat, seems to be somewhat antiquated, it doesn't have all the features that other, trying to be politically correct, how ironic, on my last meeting. But part of the problem that we ran into was that the
Hard to access information.
well, they have one system and they want us to buy that system. And
Police
that-
department has one system.
And they want us to buy that system, and that's,
that we would leverage the information and research that they've been doing, at least initially, which is the meeting in 2 weeks.
But even if we said yes today,
No, I understand that, but I guess I didn't realize then that committee that was looking at this was truly interested and engaged and interested in moving it forward. If
think
they're
we're
waiting to
still-
hear,
looking for more information, that's the last.
I think there's a lot of questions. We're still saying,
What other apps were? I don't
what are the other apps? How does it fit into our curriculum? Like the wellness, everything that's being taught. You know, that's a question I have that I just want to understand better. And then whether they can address the issues that our administration had, which was, the big one was the after hours, which it sounds like they're beginning to address now. They've gotten feedback, so we haven't gotten a solution to that yet. So I mean, I think the answer, at least from being on facilities, we're still in the process of determining what.
okay, but I guess I'm hearing two different things. Like at first we heard that it was the administration that was, and negotiations that was kind of where it stood, and now we're hearing that we're waiting for more questions.
Well, there's
So
no
I guess
rush really.
we're not-
Well, I think you're right.
Even if we decide today, negotiations for the administrators don't start for months. So.
Right, but again, you can move things forward.
I'm not sure.
Kathy, we also were trying to see if there was buy-in from the students too, because perhaps that's not, a course that they would choose to follow. They are the users of this product as well. So we were going to see if we could put out a survey from one of the meetings. So to follow.
That's my frustration.
There are
We're hearing
a lot.
lots of different things.
I'm not 100% sure, and I don't want to say one way or the other, but I, in terms of the administration, I understand you don't want to dump something in their lap that they're not comfortable doing, or that's going to put undue responsibilities on them that may not be fair, given the fact that these apps are addressing the after hours thing. I'm not understanding where it has to come into negotiations, that this would be, we ask teachers to do extra things, we ask administrators to, we don't always have to negotiate things that we put on their plate, but, I'm moving slowly with this, I'm not pressing this, I'm just, I understand the need to try to stay in the middle and take the baby steps, look at the app, and try to make it work with what we have. I'm hoping, I'm confident that it will at some point work. I hope that point is sooner rather than later.
well, I just want to comment that the administrators didn't say they wouldn't do it, they just said that they had the same concerns that pretty much every other school in Somerset County has. Because nobody's jumping on this thing, because everybody's afraid that things aren't worked out, and they don't want to be liable for it. And you can say that that's a CYA, or you can say whatever it is, but it's a reality. And so I think it's North Plainfield is like the only school in Somerset County. There's all kinds of conflicting things. The prosecutor told us that a bunch of schools were doing it. I talked to their superintendents, they were not. They had only agreed to listen to the same presentation that we heard 8 months ago. We got invited to hear, but we had already reached out ahead of everybody else in Somerset County that wasn't using it, and had an interactive discussion with our whole administrative team and the app's developer. And that at that time they had nothing for the after hours, which our own attorney said is a giant red flag, because that is in fact what the app's developer said, put up the flag. And I think everybody remembers that discussion. And we were not okay with putting up a flag to say we're on spring break. And the administrator's concern is not so much with the use of the app with bullying. We understand that. All of us understand that. But the concern was, and I support them in this, the concern was that if you have a kid, because everything that we went to, that we listened to, and that we heard referenced suicide. Nobody was talking about bullying. Everybody, or maybe bullying that led to suicide, but it was all suicide. And none of us were comfortable with putting up a flag that said, we're closed, when somebody could use the app to say that they needed help. And to my understanding, as of even yesterday, is that has still not been worked out on that app. And that seems to be what everybody is waiting for.
Have we spoken to any of the schools around the country that have implemented the app?
We've spoken to the ones in New Jersey.
Well, have you spoken
to
to any
6
of the
them.
schools that have implemented it? The one you saying all the schools in New Jersey, 6 of them have implemented it?
I think there's 5 or 6, and we did.
And their experience has been, I mean, this is all new information, so I'm just
Yes,
curious.
so the experience has been that, and Gretchen can echo this, that North Plainfield, basically the ones who have implemented have SROs or SLUs, and they handle it. So nobody.
So it's an issue of who handles it.
Well, no, I don't know that. That's one of the issues. And then the schools that we spoke to all said they put the flag up.
This is your last meeting, you don't need to deal with this.
No, but I'm just saying they put the flag up, and that, Tim, is something that we're still.
I think, you know, I think we know what the issue is.
That's what the issue is.
It's not that complicated to work through this. It isn't. It's taken a long time. At every turn, there's another issue. It's not an issue of the app. It's not an issue of the app developer. This is being implemented in schools all over the country.
I would say that it is complicated. In my opinion, it is very complicated to work through an issue when we're dealing with suicide and other topics like that you can't just put a flag up. For me, that's a big issue.
And
it's a problem.
That and the other schools in Somerset County, that is the issue, is no superintendent is comfortable saying, okay.
By the way, I never heard suicide mentioned in their presentation that they
They spoke about it in the facility, in
So the
SNO.
prosecutor.
Yeah, I mean, I never heard them say that. In that, I get how that would be
That's what
sort
they
of a
reference
boogeyman
as to why
for people,
you should
but-
get it, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I
That's
think their
what was told
pitch
to
is
us.
really, and we should sort of drop it, but the pitch has to do with bullying,
Right.
with drug use,
Right.
and with inappropriate behavior by teachers and other administrators. Those were the 3 use cases that were being described. And, you know, from I think our board's perspective, and clearly from my perspective, any tools that we can put in the hands of our students to address those 3 key issues related to their safety, we should be working overdrive to resolve. And if there's concerns, we should work through them. But it shouldn't be just, you know, hey, it's a little bit hard, let's not do it, right? Nobody wants to put anyone in an awkward position, but if there are tools that are out there that are being implemented by school systems that address issues of bullying, that address issues of drug use, that address issues of inappropriate behavior, we should be working overdrive to implement those tools.
I would
We're
like
waiting
to
for the
just say one
feedback,
thing,
that's the
please.
thing, is that we don't have the feedback to act on it, because we don't have the answer about what happens after hours. And nobody is comfortable because we don't have that answer. I don't know if that's overdrive or whatever, but nobody can tell us about how this thing is monitored after hours. How it's controlled, who's controlling it. No, the company has not gotten back to anybody about how are they trained and how's that done. And You know, you might not like it, but we need to have those answers before we can go ahead and say, yeah, this is something we're all comfortable with.
You know, as everybody's talking, I'm just kind of thinking in my mind, if I were participating in that app, and at some point I put up the red flag, and somebody takes drugs or overdoses or commits suicide or does something drastic, I would feel terrible. So think about this, if we're asking students to bear that, or even administrators or teachers, I think that's huge. I'm not, you know, it might sound really great on the surface, I'm not so sure if we really look into it, and from what you're saying, these are the things that we want to iron out before we go forward. So I propose that we kind of wrap this situation up here, this conversation, unless somebody has an extremely important thing to say about it, because I don't think it's going to be solved right now. That's all I want to say.
I second.
Okay. Where are we now?
Well, we were about to vote on F and O.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
there we go. All right, Mr. Baker,
Yes.
Mr. DiGiacchino,
Yes.
Mr. McDonald,
Yes.
Mrs. Santoro,
Yes.
Ms. Sui,
Yes.
Mrs. Tober,
Yes.
Ms. Gertrude,
Yes.
Ms. Birch,
Yes, one.
Mrs. Lees.
Yes. Okay, Franny, I'm going to ask you to give a policy report, which would be your last committee report of any sort.
Okay, so policy did not meet because it was a cleanup of mandated policies. So the policies that we're putting forward are not things that we really had options on. They're from the state and they're mandated.
That's it. So, therefore, you would like to move, there were no, there's really, wait a minute, yep, items 1 through, well, it's really
Like
a policy.
meetings over the summer.
It's really just,
Yeah.
first reading,
Yeah.
item 1.
She can't do it.
I can't, yeah.
Summer reading.
Jamie, you moved it?
I'm going to move items 1, items 1. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thanks, thank you. Okay.
That's my first second.
Okay. I think it's my turn. Personnel.
Wait, I have to, we
We
take
gotta vote on that item 1.
Mr. Baker,
Yes.
Mr. DiGiacchino,
Yes.
Mr. McDonald,
Yes.
Mrs. Santoro,
Yes.
Ms. Sui,
Yes.
Mrs. Tober,
Yes.
Ms. Virtue,
Yes.
Ms. Birch,
Yes.
Mrs. Lees.
Yes. Okay, personnel met yesterday, although it seems like a week ago. It's been a long 24 hours. We discussed several things about personnel. One of the things we did review an updated job description for the assistant superintendent of curriculum and instruction, which is part of your handout. We also decided that it was probably a good idea, because we weren't really certain, but that it might be a good idea to review job descriptions sort of on an ongoing basis every 3 years or so to make sure that the job descriptions actually match the jobs being done. So I think that was a good idea. So I have items 1 through 32. However, I am tabling 4 positions in action resolution number 13. The open gym for fall, the 2 winter AD positions, and the 2 JV wrestling assistants. So aside from those, I would like to move items 1 through 32. Second.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
All right. Mr. Baker,
Yes.
Mr. DiGiacchino, Mr. McDonald,
Yes on all items but 13, which I abstain.
Mrs. Santoro,
Yes.
Ms. Sui,
Yes.
Mrs. Tober,
Yes.
Ms. Virtue,
Yes.
Ms. Birch,
Yes, on the star items.
Mrs. Lees.
Yes. Okay. Are there any public questions and comments on non-agenda items or any other items that we've discussed?
Community relations.
Okay, no comments? Thank you. We actually need to go back into executive for a few minutes to discuss something that was left off. We have to go back into executive.
5 minutes. 5 minutes. Some more ice cream.
They probably finished it. What do you think? I don't know if they're gonna make a motion. Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn?
No, motion to go into.
Oh,
But no,
we're not adjourned.
Well, we adjourn the meeting after we come out of the executive session. No.
Okay.
That's the
Motion.
So
we have.
I need a second to go back into the.
Second.
Okay. Yeah. I know. Thank you for attending.
But you have to leave now.
Do I come back? Are you going back in?
Taking any more action. No action will be taken. Yeah, no action. Okay.
Get the box, we get all the